So the MLS Cup Final is set. It will be Inter Miami versus Vancouver on the afternoon of December 6th in the afternoon at 2:30 Eastern time. The headlines will obviously be Thomas Müller versus Leo Messi. Both of them a part of a team that were obviously great. Arguably Miami the best in the East, Vancouver arguably the best in the West, meeting each other in the final. Two big names, but will it be ultimately down to the superstars?
I think Messi's going to show up. I think Mueller will show up too. I mean, they both will have influence on the game. At the very least, what I do think is more likely on the Vancouver side is that Mueller becomes something of they use him as a decoy. They use him as a player to he's the Ramsdottir. He's the space interpreter, and that's obviously his strength, and he's going to still want to do that. But there may be a way for Jesper Sorensen and this team to take advantage of the attention that Thomas Müller is going to get. And I saw somebody here say that the battle is going to be in the midfield. Now that's a very cliche and easy thing to say in any soccer match, the midfield. But these neither one of these teams skip their midfields, right? Although we did see Emmanuel Sabi score a goal from Takaoka on direct play. So keep your eye on that. That was not this round. That was in the conference semifinal. But keep your eye out on that, because if Miami does get a little lax, if they do let those runs happen, there is a potential that could be a weapon Vancouver pulls out of their arsenal. Miami has it too, particularly with Allende, but I do think they need to, obviously the passing through midfield is what they prefer. I think it's going to be fascinating to see Sebastian Berhalter and Rodrigo De Paul go up against one another in that midfield as well. That's an intriguing matchup. I already extolled the virtues of Andres Cuas and what he did in that Western Conference final. He's been very, very impressive. I mean, you have a lot of experience on both sides, right? Sergio Busquets, Rodrigo De Paul, Thomas Müller, obviously Lionel Messi. Jordi Alba's been excellent. Remember,
I was going to say I don't want him to retire. He still looks like he's got a lot left in him.
Jordi Alba and Sergio Busquets are going to be playing their final professional soccer match if things stay the way that they're planned right now, and that's something. So I would expect Jordi Alba to show up and ball out. I don't know what we're going to get. This could be negating each other for a while, but I think there's goals in it. I really do think there's goals in it. A significant number. We might end up getting a 3-2, 4-3 kind of MLS Cup final at the end of the day.
That would be probably MLS lords would love that. And I think you could be onto something. I saw a stat, granted the season's longer than it ever has been, and the postseason has an extra game in it. But Inter Miami, I think, broke a record for the most goals in a calendar year or a regular season, postseason combined. So obviously they're more than capable of scoring goals. Vancouver, no slouch in that department. It seems either hot or cold. They've played some wild ones, but they're also capable of packing it in tight themselves. So that would certainly make for a compelling final if we saw some goals, especially if Vancouver gets on the board first. I think that could really make it exciting, make Inter Miami really kind of come out and play even more than they would already.
Yeah, that's ideal for Vancouver. In that case, I don't know how Vancouver changes their approach defensively. Riverside Grove says Vancouver won't get enough touches on the ball to score goals. LAFC could have hurt Miami in the counter, but Vancouver isn't built like that. I think Vancouver is going to have some of the ball. I don't think this is going to be Inter Miami dominating possession. And I do think that they are capable of turning the ball over and creating some transition moments higher up the field that could be advantageous. Again, that sort of ball security element. You don't want to be giving the ball away 25 yards from goal, 30 yards from goal if you are Inter Miami, because Vancouver can hurt you that way. So there's a couple of things here, and I would expect Sorensen to have a plan of some type. That I don't know if you can negate Lionel Messi, and I think it's probably a fool's errand to overthink Messi as the key player, because as we saw, other guys can hurt you, and really all you really need is Lionel Messi turning on the ball, getting his head up, finding Allende, finding Silvetti. These are weapons now Inter Miami has. We saw in the Cincinnati game, Lionel Messi working defensively 25 yards from goal and turning the ball over and starting transition. So there's a motivation here. I think Inter Miami is going to win the game, Rob, and we'll talk about it closer to kickoff, but I think it could be fun.
Yeah, fun should be had in this, and that is Saturday, December 6th at 2:30 in the afternoon there. So an exciting Saturday ahead. MK Ultras, Ryan, he dedicated or donated 5 gifted Morning Kickaround memberships.
All claimed.
All claimed. Okay, I
claimed.
can't see that on my end. So thank you so much, Ryan, for purchasing and getting people into the membership club.
Yeah, we can shout out QSMJAH, TSU Kone 620, Michael Redden 5735, and Philip Bushina 676. Oh, and also Alex Falla 13 got one as well. So thanks to Ryan for hooking it up.
Going back into the MK Ultra comments, back to the subject, Mueller, 7 wins to Messi's 3 in the 10 times that they've matched each other. I didn't realize, obviously there's some famous matchups in the finals and whatnot. I didn't know that they had crossed paths so often, but 7-3, pretty decisive there.
No, that is, we're talking about club soccer. We're talking about both club and country. I don't know how many Argentina, Germany games we got, but I'm just curious if there's any, like, if there's international history, if they were just talking about club game. Like, double check those stats.
Yeah. Let's get some double verification. Let's get some sourcing on that. But thank you, Ryan, for donating those MK Ultra memberships. That's awesome. Great to have more green names on the screen. And then you can access the Discord channel with that membership, priority commenting on screen during these shows, and then you get bonus content and even early access to some of the videos as well.
Let me throw out one more question on the MLS Cup Final, because I think we have a couple of minutes here. So, Rob, you tell me. You tell me who you give the advantage to in these areas. So let's start with goalkeeper. You have Takaoka and Rocco Rios Novo. Who would you give the advantage to?
I like Takaoka.
I think Takaoka is better. Defensively, the back line for these teams, who do you give the advantage to? Now, and remember that you did have a suspended Tristan Blackman for the San Diego game, but he will be available for the MLS Cup Final.
So the only thing that makes me pause for a second was because they've looked improved in this postseason, Miami. Through the season, I wouldn't have called them a very reliable defensive force. Their postseason form makes me kind of hedge it a little bit, but my initial gut instinct, I'm going to roll with it, that I prefer Vancouver's defense, to be honest.
I think if you look at the table, you look at the number of goals conceded. Inter Miami conceding 55 goals in the season, Vancouver conceding 38. Now, this does not count the playoffs, but that's just a basic number to kind of give you a sense. Vancouver's had a better defense throughout the season. The question is whether or not Inter Miami has improved enough that you would rate them over Vancouver. And I would not. Nothing against, Falcone and Noah Allen back there, but I think, and Jordi Alba, not really playing much, defending a little bit, but not really. That's just not really his role. I mean, you're going to get Rodrigo de Paul doing a lot of that work and things like that. So, so I would still have Vancouver. So Vancouver's up 2-0. Midfield, Kubas and Berhalter for Vancouver, I would imagine likely to start. You have some options a little bit higher up the field, including Ryan Gauld. We'll get to him. And then, for Inter Miami, Busquets in the game against New York City, Baltazar Rodriguez, the Argentine 22-year-old played, and Rodrigo de Paul. Midfield. Rob, what you got?
Who do I go? This is a toughie because you have legend of the game sitting there in the midfield, and I'd feel some regret picking against them, and especially since his last game, I think I'd go midfield Miami just for Busquets' final game factor.
All right, I think I might take the mobility, the energy, there's several things I think that there is an advantage in terms of, and we're talking about the platform in midfield. We're not talking about the advanced midfielders, the guys like Thomas Müller, right? So now you move up the field. You've got Lionel Messi, you've got Tadeo Allende, you've got Silvetti, the 19-year-old Argentine who scored for Inter Miami. You can bring on players like Segovia. Obviously, Luis Suarez is over there as well on the bench. And then for Vancouver, it's Thomas Müller, it's Ali Ahmed, it's Emmanuel Sabi, Brian White, who comes back after injury and scores those 2 goals against San Diego in the final. Off the bench, you can bring in Ryan Gauld. They brought in Kenji Cabrera off the bench in that game as well. Jaden Nelson is over there. He played a tiny bit against San Diego. Which one you got?
That's really tough. The depth of Vancouver is not to be minced with there. It's really hard to go against that, to be honest. I'm going to go Vancouver again.
Oh, I think that's wrong. I think Lionel Messi trumps all of that by a significant margin. No offense to Thomas Müller, who's been an incredible player. I appreciate you, Rob. I think you're trying, but I like I said, goalkeeper, defenders, deep lying midfield, defensive midfield. Vancouver. For me, attack, Inter Miami. Game, Inter Miami.
I think that with all that said, it makes up for an amazing final because we could go back and forth on the depth versus magic and teamwork versus individual brilliance. But at the same time, these last couple of weeks, Miami has come together as a team. They've kind of figured out their balance and it looks right. And so I'll go back to my point from earlier that the first goal, I think, is absolutely key. The earlier that comes, I think if there's an early goal, it's wide open, big scoring game, but it might drag on 0-0-0-0. And if it's like a tight 1-goal game, you can't bet against Messi having some.
This is why I think we're going to get entertainment regardless, is because I don't think Vancouver has it in them to sit deep and absorb pressure and try to slow down Miami as their primary concern. I think they want to go toe to toe. I think they want it to be. They want to push the initiative. They obviously want to get set pieces, but Sebastian Berhalter is extremely dangerous with set pieces, and do not forget that. So I think there's a lot of things working here. I just think it's a fascinating final. I think we're going to get entertainment.
Yeah, no doubt about that. MLS Cup Final on Saturday afternoon.